Welcome back. You are past the halfway point on tonight's episode. We had some great conversations with Will with our ongoing theme of relationships. And so I've got a familiar face back with us. We got Olga Hurtado. She is from Neat Books, and you've seen her once before. And we're going to have a continuing conversation about relationships. She is really an expert at building relationships because she's done it in this huge journey that she took, and she's established them in multiple countries, being both bilingual and having two businesses. She's basically an international rock star, in my opinion. So we're going to start talking about relationships. And Olga, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Always my pleasure. You're super fun to talk to. And just a reminder for you, if you have any really cool, awesome points to make, my audience should be listening with pen and paper. So you make sure to tell them to write that down if you hit a home run. Okay. So let's see. How are we going to talk about relationships? So we're going to talk about being intentional. And so I want to ask you along your journey, how did you go about being intentional with building strong relationships and any kind of relationship? So whether that's like a mentor or a peer, or even team members, how did that impact your growth as a leader and an entrepreneur? And how were you intentional about it?
I think investing in the team, it's what is more impactful when you have a business, okay? Because when you are when you become the mentor to your employees, to your team, that's when your business starts building momentum. And they are the ones who bring you those feedback from clients. They are the ones who help you grow. So to me, being intentional in mentoring our team members have been like pivotal, in the growth of my business. So keep in mind that training your team and making them grow and making them better in their positions, in what they do, it should be also one of your main goals as a leader, as a team leader.
I think that's a beautiful main goal to have as a leader is to develop the people around you. There's a pretty famous quote by a guy that has become a billionaire. His net worth is about $100 billion. And he says millionaires develop great systems, great processes, but billionaires develop great people. And so you seem to have a mindset very similar to his, is it's all about the team and creating them. And you really dropped a little nugget in there that I don't want people to go without catching, is that you said when you make it all about the team, this is what it says. It says, and you train them well, they're going to be the ones that bring back the feedback. They're going to tell you what the clients are thinking, what the clients are saying, and they're going to tell you what's working and not working. And so if people follow your advice and make one of their main missions being about mentoring the relationships with their team, that's going to automatically produce the growth that you're looking for. Is that a fair enough statement?
Yes, yes, it is. And when you do that, it automatically turns into your P&L and your bottom line. You will
Mm.
see that result in your numbers. That's a fact, okay? Because the numbers customers bring, they are important. But the numbers that your employees bring, they are the ones who give you the measurement of your business. So don't forget that. To me, it has worked.
I like that a lot. So don't be focusing on the dollar signs going into the bank account. Be focusing on the productive nature, the efficiency, and the effectiveness of which your employees can grow and learn, and the dollar signs will be there, right?
Exactly.
I love it. So let me expand on the next question. So surely you've developed either some strategies or some habits over the years as you've helped to like expand and deepen these valuable relationships. So especially as your business has evolved, what habits have you noticed that you've developed, or what purposeful strategies do you use in those relationships?
Well, if we're talking about the team, let's say, for example, what I do is I always train them for between 3 to 6 months, okay? Because you're not gonna know whether an employee is gonna be a good employee or not if you give them the resources to fulfill their tasks or the goals that you have put them in. So I think one of the main habits I have developed in my business. Also, the 24-hour deadline to respond to a client. So when you have a request from a client, what we do as a as a business, and this is something that everyone does at Needbooks, we always respond to requests within 24 hours. Okay, unless you are not in the right tier. Okay, but most of our clients, they get a response. It doesn't matter the tier. We're trying to help them navigate some challenges with their businesses. And when you don't encounter any response from your financial team or from your accountant, and you have this sense of urgency, that's when you get frustrated. So to me, the customer service and everything that has been strategized to our clients is a response that help them, like ease that frustration, ease that urgency, because sometimes it's really urgent, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was urgent, but it's not. So I think those are the habits that we have, that we have implemented. I have helped us grow.
Well, I think those are really great habits and some good strategies as well. I've always had this question that I ask. I have this system called the first 4 hours. And part of that, there's just a discussion with the new employee. And I say, hey, what's a reasonable time period? If like your buddy or your parents shoot you a text message, what's a reasonable timeline for you to get back to them? Like assuming that you're busy or something's going on. Oh, I would say a few hours, right? You got to respond to a text message with at least a few hours, definitely by the end of the day. Okay, cool. If somebody shoots you an email, what's a reasonable amount of time for you to answer that email? And most people come up with the conclusion of like, oh, about 24 hours. If they email you in the afternoon on Tuesday, you should probably get back to them by the afternoon on Wednesday. Now, what if somebody calls you? There's a phone call and they actually dialed your phone. How quick should you get back to them? Like, oh, same day, definitely same day, stuff like that. Or I should text them and tell them when I'm going to call. Okay, good. So you formalized as a strategy for sustaining relationships this habit or this subconscious understanding people have. You said, well, we're going to make it a conscious effort now. And
Right.
I love that. And that's resulted in a lot of success for you. So that's really, really fun. The 24-hour rule. I like that a lot. So you have that touch point. You have that as a part of your process. Have you built any relationship nurturing or relationship utilizing things with your clients into your systems? Like you had mentioned feedback before. Like you have a system with your relationships, or your relationships give you feedback, where you petition them for their feedback, um, update them, and how's your journey with us going so far? You've been with us for 5 years. What the heck do you think year one versus year five? Anything like that for strengthening the relationship?
Yes, yes, we do, and we do it every year. By November, we hire this company called Clearly Rated, and what we do with them is that we gather all of our client base on, that have worked with us throughout the year, and well, they send them the questions, and the questions are basically to measure us as their accounting firm. And sometimes they come up like, very good and nice responses. Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? This person didn't get back to me in 48 hours. Okay. That's, oh, that broke the rule. But we try to measure our clients and their feedbacks, and we take action when we listen. Okay, when they say something, is because we have to improve something, and that's what we do. That's how we do it every year. We roll out these interviews, these surveys, I'm sorry, and they just respond, and we have this, this score. And if we have like this amount of score, oh, we did it great. Like we have all these clients responding, and so far it has been great. Hopefully it stays that way. But you need to talk to your clients, you need to make surveys, you need to ask them, how are we doing? Because you think you're doing great, but then surprise, you're not. And they start leaving. They start making their row and leave your business. So don't wait until that happens.
Well, I love that. That client feedback is perfect. I think you kind of touching on it. You can really discover a blind spot, right? Like you guys could be sitting here like, oh, look at us. We're so amazing. Johnny and Sally both complimented us last week. We're the best. Then you send out a survey and then boom, there's some, whoa, everyone in your office always says this thing, or they always send my documents here and it's such a pain. And you're like, well, that system's broken. Or, oh my gosh, we need to eliminate that phrase from our language, right? And then
Yeah.
you can discover a blind spot. So I think that's a really valuable piece of information you gave people. Is you have to be scoring yourself, but not
Yeah.
internally. You should be doing internally, but you need to be allowing that outside entities, your clients, to be scoring you and realizing if you have blind spots. That's pretty interesting. So along your journey, I'm sure you've had some negative or toxic relationships in your lifetime. I really want to know, how do you, like, one, identify them, but two, distance yourself from those toxic, draining relationships? Like, how do you handle that? What effect does it have on you when you focus on eliminating those? Does it help or hurt your momentum to keep on one of them or cut one of them? Tell me more about that.
Well, at the beginning, the toxic relationships, what they do to you is that you feel like, I would say, scared, and then you minimize yourself and you start like acting and behaving towards that toxic relationship. But that was me at the beginning. When you start like building your business and you start like growing confidence, you realize that those toxic relationships, they're full of drama. You don't need that. You don't have time for that. Okay, so you need to start creating your safety space with people that align with your values and and your energy. So when that happens, keep in mind and open your eyes, because those are energy stealers. And those toxic relationships, you need to move away from those. And even, and more, because you are a business owner. You don't have time for that. When you're a business owner, you need to be focused on your business, on your family, on the time you're invested in yourself. So I have had some sort of, toxic relationships throughout these 10 years of my business. But I understood that the most valuable relationship that I need to have is with myself. And after that, with my family, with God, with, you start like, building everything, all together. But this toxic relationship, you always have to move them away from you and create that safe space for you and for your
That's
family.
that's a really, really good series of statements that you made about how to evaluate self, evaluate the relationship, and understand that that's an energy stealer. I really like that phrase. And if you don't let somebody go when they're stealing your energy, you're always going to be low on energy. I'm going to stick a pin in right here. Is a great spot for us to jump to commercial break. You guys stick right with us for the final segment and more Olga right after this on Pivotal Change.